Welcome everyone to today's Explainer. We are exploring the very mechanics of human drive. Have you ever wondered what actually gets people out of bed in the morning, totally fired up to tackle a tough project or hit an ambitious sales target? Well, today we're breaking down the concept of motivation, which is essentially the engine of action. Whether you're managing a team, running a business, or honestly, just trying to understand your own productivity, getting a firm grasp on how this engine works is absolutely essential.
Okay, let's dive right in. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. What is motivation? 2. Needs, drives, and motivation. 3. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. 4. Financial motivational tools. And 5. Non-financial motivational techniques.
Starting with Section 1, what is motivation? Defining the engine. To kick things off, there's this incredibly evocative definition from a scholar named Memoria. They describe motivation as the function that kindles a burning passion for action. I just love that phrasing. At its core, motivation is a stimulus that impels us to respond and perform at our absolute full strength. It's not just about, getting people to show up to work. It's about activating dormant energy and cultivating a genuine willingness to actually achieve a goal.
But here's a critical concept we have to wrap our heads around right away. Motivation is incredibly dynamic. Human needs are constantly changing. They shift based on our physical condition, our environment, and our social networks. In fact, psychologists point out that an individual's existing need is actually never completely satisfied. The very second an old need is met, boom, a new, higher-level goal immediately arises to take its place. We are literally always striving for that next step.
And this brilliantly illustrates that dynamic nature in action. Think about shopping bags. In the past, the primary motivation for consumers and businesses was probably just pure convenience, which led to the widespread use of plastic bags. But today, because of a growing environmental consciousness, that underlying want has shifted dramatically. Present motivation drives the use of paper or reusable bags. So as our circumstances and our awareness evolve, so do our goals and the very things that drive us to act.
That brings us to Section 2, needs, drives, and motivation. This is the fuel for our engine.
To really harness this energy, we have to break down the mechanics of why we take action. Now, people mix this up all the time. They use the words need and motivation interchangeably, but they are actually distinct steps in a cyclical process. It all starts with an unconscious or conscious need. That need creates a sort of psychological or physical tension, which we call a drive. And it's that drive that ultimately sparks the final motivation to actually do something about it.
Let's walk through a super relatable biological example to make this crystal clear. Step 1 is the need. In this case, hunger. Your body literally requires sustenance. Step 2 is the drive. That's the physiological discomfort you feel because your stomach is empty. You're feeling a state of tension, right? Then step 3 is the motivation. That physical discomfort directs your behavior and motivates you to go buy food to restore your equilibrium.
Great leaders and marketers understand this process intimately. They know exactly how to harness this psychological energy by aligning what they offer with the specific motives of their audience. Take a marketer promoting a new yoga center, for example. They know different people have completely different drives. They might direct their campaign broadly at the motive of physical well-being. Or they might target a very specific niche by speaking directly to the drive for spiritual fulfillment. Matching the motive to the offering, that's the secret to unlocking action.
Moving right along to Section 3, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're mapping the terrain of human desire.
This is arguably one of the most famous psychological frameworks ever created for understanding human needs. Proposed by American psychologist Abraham H. Maslow back in 1943, the theory argues that human needs are fulfilled in a strict, hierarchical manner. You move from basic survival all the way up to advanced self-growth. And the absolute central rule here is that higher-level needs are highly unlikely to motivate a person unless their lower, fundamental, basic needs have already been fulfilled.
Let's build this famous pyramid from the ground up. Level 1, the absolute foundation, is physiological needs. These are the non-negotiable basic requirements to survive. We're talking food, water, sleep, and shelter. Think about it. If an employee is literally starving or doesn't have a roof over their head, they are definitely not going to be motivated by a fancy new job title. Survival comes first.
Let's move to the next step and see how this builds. Level 2, safety needs. Once those physiological needs are met, a person naturally asks for security in their life. In the modern working world, this means job security, good health, personal safety, and financial stability. It's all about knowing that your survival foundation isn't going to just suddenly disappear tomorrow. Okay,
So once a person feels physically satisfied and secure, level 3 kicks in, social needs. This tier addresses our deep human desire for love, connection, and belongingness. People seek this through their family, their friends, and, significantly, through professional groups and supportive networks in their workplace. Deep down, we all want to feel like we are part of a tribe.
Building on that social connection, we reach level 4, esteem needs. Now that we belong to a group, we want to be respected within it. This is all about status, prestige, validation by others, and our own internal self-confidence. If an individual lacks this respect and validation in their environment, it can actually result in a major inferiority complex and severely low confidence, completely draining their motivation.
Finally, at the very peak of the pyramid, we have level 5, self-actualization. This is the most advanced state, where a person feels their full potential has been totally utilized. They are reaching the absolute best of their capabilities. But interestingly, this feeling of fulfillment is often transient. Because humans are incredibly dynamic, just like we discussed earlier, we constantly strive for new, continuous personal growth throughout our entire lives. You hit the peak, and then you look for a new mountain.
Now, let's pivot from academic theory to practical application. Section 4, Financial Motivational Tools, the tangible rewards.
The reality is, even if you have the best product or service in the world, your firm will not succeed if your sales force isn't motivated to sell it. It's that simple. There are 5 primary financial techniques companies use to keep their employees enthusiastic, encouraged, and driven to hit those upper-level needs.
Let's quickly break these 5 tools down. First is remuneration. That's your base salary with regular yearly increments. Second are bonuses, extra chunks of income awarded for exceptional performance. Third is commission, an additional percentage of pay over the base. For example, a firm might offer a 10% commission on the profits of every single car a salesperson sells. That directly links their hustle to their reward. Fourth is promotion, giving more authority right alongside more pay. And fifth are fringe benefits, perks like a company car, free accommodation, or a mobile phone.
But money isn't everything. Let's transition into our final section, Section 5, Non-Financial Motivational Techniques, the intangible drivers.
So the crucial point here is that relying purely on cash is a mistake. Both categories are essential for getting your team to perform at full capacity. Financial motivators are your tangible, monetary benefits, but non-financial motivators provide the intangible, psychological benefits, like security and recognition. These tap directly into those higher levels of Maslow's pyramid we just talked about, the social and esteem needs.
A major part of non-financial motivation is empowerment. When management avoids unilateral, top-down decisions and actually involves employees in the decision-making process, it creates a massive sense of belongingness. It tells the employee, hey, you matter to this group. That taps right into the social and esteem layers of our human drive.
Here are the specific non-financial techniques you really should know. Job security is massive. Think about a temporary worker. They value job security far above any fancy fringe benefit because the risk of losing their livelihood paralyzes their motivation. Then we have challenging work, which keeps dynamic employees engaged by redesigning their jobs so they don't get bored. Recognition, sometimes literally just a few words of honest appreciation, can dramatically boost morale. Opportunities for advancement prevent career stagnation. And as we just discussed, empowerment gives workers a vital voice in the room.
We have covered a ton of ground today, from the basic biological drive of hunger all the way to the peak of self-actualization, and exactly how leaders use both money and meaning to push us forward. So I want to leave you with a question to reflect on regarding your own personal engine of action. What level of Maslow's hierarchy is driving your work today? Are you simply securing your foundation, or are you striving for your peak? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.